I like laughing during these days. I always tell people I don't really believe in regret. I'll be honest, if I had a chance to do some things over, I'd do them differently. One of the things I would have done differently was I introduced this book to my son earlier than I needed to. When I was so proud to be able to present something and read this creation that I had worked on with Shane, that I wasn't really thinking about the effect it would have on him. He wasn't mentioning race or chocolate or flavors when as it applies to race until I read that book to him. Then he started saying, "Oh, he's chocolate." And then if he's chocolate, then he started saying, so does that mean she's vanilla? And then it opened a bunch of questions that had I not mentioned it, he would not have brought it up to me. And I wish I would have waited until I saw that there was a reason. Chocolate Me was definitely how I felt at a certain time because of how I was being treated. And when I introduced that to my son, his life was awesome. It was almost like, well, should people treat me weird because of, and that was the last thing I wanted to do. It worked out okay, but if I'm being honest, I would have waited a bit before I introduced, those experiences.
These books are so important and there are so few of them.
Yeah, 100%. And I wish I had them, when I was younger. The blessing is that my son was able to live up to a certain point before having to deal with that. Unfortunately, everybody's going to have to. I can't wait until that is not the case. We have been blessed enough to be able to provide these books for some of these people out there that may be struggling. The Snowy Day and then Corduroy. It was quite simple, just seeing books that had characters that looked like me. Do you know what I mean? Richard Scary, I don't know how to pronounce it. I was a huge fan of his. Those were animals, but growing up, and I love to read. I remember the Boxcar Children, Boxcar Kids. So it's not like I only read, books with little black kids in it, but it was always extra special, for the simple fact that I could relate. And that, these characters were experiencing, they could have these adventures as well, regardless of what they look like.